Hello YouTube. Alright, we are going to be doing a project today on my bicycle. So it's gotten to be time for some new bar tape. This bar tape I got on here is kind of worn out. It's a little bit loose. Electrical tape's coming loose on it. So I decided to put some new bar tape on. Also, this is my gravel bike and I'm racing next weekend. I put some carbon fiber aero bars on it a while back and I never put any bar tape on the aero bars. And what happens is they're grippy enough on bare skin, but when you're wearing gloves or getting sweaty or anything, all of a sudden you're riding down the road and you're bouncing and these bars end up getting slippery. And I've hit bumps while I'm in the aero bars and had my hands almost come off of them, which can be really dangerous, especially in a race situation. So I'm gonna put a little bit of bar tape on the aero bars first, and then I'll use what's left over to do the handles. The rest of the handlebar. And also I want to point out that since I've got my cups here for my aero bars, this top part of the bar, like I'll never put my hands all the way to the inside, so there's no reason to go all the way there. Similarly, down below, when I'm down in the horns, my hands would never go all the way to the back, so I may not go all the way. I may just put tape on where my hands actually would rest at, and then just wrap it with a little bit of electrical tape and leave the rest of it exposed. So we'll see how this goes. Gonna go ahead and get started. Okay, like I said, I got these carbon fiber bars up here, aero bars. So what I'm gonna want to do before I actually get started is spray them down with a little bit of rubbing alcohol and just wipe it off, let it dry so that I can get a nice grippy surface for the aero bar, for the tape to stick to. Make sure there's no sweat or grime or anything on there. Okay, so the tape I'm using, it's the Zipp Service Course tape. It's kind of a thick, real grippy, real nice tape. There's actually, the tape that was on here before looks like it was a Service Course. This kind of has a knurled finish to it, where the new stuff is more of like a smoother, I don't know, real grippy surfacing to it. It's got a little bit of backing tape on this next side. It's a 3M. So a lot of times when you're putting tape on, the thought process is to wrap towards the bike, and to me it really doesn't matter. But what I would like to consider when I'm installing tape on a bike is the way my hand is going to be positioned. So when I'm in the aero bars, my hand isn't really pushing downward, it's actually more pushing upward, because it's like a fulcrum that my elbow's back here and my hand is actually kind of pulling in an upward direction, especially when you're hitting bumps. So when you're wrapping your tape, you don't want to be pushing against the leading edge of the tape, because then you'll always be pulling it down and pulling it backwards. You always want your tension to be in the direction of for the tape to be in the direction of the force of your hand. Similarly, down in the horns, when you're on these, your hand's going to be pushing downwards, down and back. So you want your wrappings to overlap in that direction so that you're not pushing against the folds of it and pulling it back. See, like you can pull it here, you don't want that. You always want it to be in the direction that your hand is going to be normally applying pressure. All right, so we clean these bars off. You want to have a nice pair of scissors handy, and it's a good idea to have some electrical tape. I like to use the 3M brand, or a Scotch brand, sorry, not 3M. Well, it is Scotch 3M Super 88 electrical tape. Is a real good tape to use. So go ahead, I'm gonna get that started so that when I'm ready to apply some, that it's already peeled off and ready to go. Got me a pair of good scissors. So when it comes to the aero bars, and we're looking for weight reduction or weight efficiency, there's no reason to go all the way down. You really only need just a little bit of grip right up here where your hand's gonna fit. And I kind of like to have it on thick a little bit, so it makes like a ball in my hand as opposed to just like a smooth shape. I like to have like a ball kind of in there. It just gives me a little bit more grip, makes it a little bit more comfortable. Okay, when I'm wrapping the tape, I like to do it really tight. I don't want my tape ever coming loose. I don't want any kind of situation like that. It could be dangerous in a race. So just keep in mind, I like to do it really tight. And then this particular tape says service course on it. You really wouldn't want that to be upside down. It might look stupid. So I'm gonna go ahead and start peeling back a little bit of the backing tape. And I'm just gonna start on this one aero bar. I'm gonna start with tape right up, point it forward. And I'm gonna start pulling it tightly. I'm gonna go right around the top edge. I'm stretching this tape as I'm applying it. All right, so as soon as I made my first coil, now I'm gonna drop down to where I'm just doing half an overlap over top of the existing. Because you really want your tape to stick. You want to maximize the amount of tape you're getting out of the roll for the surface area. Sometimes you gotta help this come around. And you just keep going around. Like I said, that traditional school of thought is to go towards the bike. So to me, that means from front to back, going towards the bicycle. And I'm just wrapping around. Like I said earlier, I don't need to go real far down because I just want to have a gripping area so my hand doesn't come off when I'm in the aero bars going on a gravel road. So really, that's probably about far enough right there. All right, so when you think you're about far enough, you want to take a pair of scissors, and then you're going to want to make a cut in it so that you get a nice little polished surface, so to speak, when it's done, as opposed to a blunt cut off. It just ends up looking a little bit nicer. So there, I got my nice cut off edge. I'm gonna pull that around nice and tight. So like I said, you want to use electrical tape to finish it, to hold it on real nice and tight. And this Super 88 tape really seems like the way to go. It's considered a professional grade tape. So you want to go in the same direction that you were wrapping the bar tape so you can keep the tension on it. And you just go a couple coils around. Meanwhile, it's stretching this tape. This tape, it really likes to stretch. So I like to put it on real nice and tight. You just go probably 3 or 4 times around. Now you can pull this tape and it'll break, but I like to cut it. Just give it a little bit more of a clean edge. Sometimes when you just pull it and break it, it doesn't give it such a nice clean edge. All right, so that gives me a nice gripping area without going too far and adding a lot of extra weight or anything. So that's gonna be good right there. Now I'm gonna do the other bar, and you wanna do the opposite direction. Well, it's the same direction towards the bike, but you wanna start in the opposite space so that you're going in the same way, and it ends up making everything symmetrical and looking real nice. So I'm gonna go ahead, do the other bar, and then we'll get started on the rest of the handlebars. Okay, now it's time to take, I got the aero bars, so they're opposites. Looks great. It's got a nice little, like a ball shape into my hand, just the way I said. I like it on there a little bit thick. Give me a nice grip so when I'm going on the road, my hands aren't gonna bounce off anymore. It'll especially be nice when I'm wearing my gloves. So the next thing is to get this old bar tape off. So you wanna take these boots and you simply fold them back a little bit. They got all these little nubs in them that hold into the spots on the actual shifter and brake assembly so that they hold in place. But you just fold those back a little bit so that you can get the tape off. And the tape, just like the new tape going on, it's held in place with some old electrical tape here. So it's gonna start unwinding it. Okay, so now I got down to the end, and the tape, it's locked into the bar with this little plug here. So you gotta get this plug out. If you're lucky, you can just pull it out. Sometimes you need to use a little pry tool or something. But the idea is when you're applying the tape, you leave extra out, and then you shove the plug in, and it holds the tape into place. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and clean this off just like we did before. Just a little bit of rubbing alcohol spray. That's a pro tip for you. Rubbing alcohol is a great cleaner. It works for lots of stuff. You can use it on cars, on bicycles, and pretty much anything. It's cheap. Just save yourself a good spray bottle. This was some, I don't know, window cleaner or something, multi-surface cleaner. Put a rubbing alcohol in it, I write AL on it, and just keep it handy in the garage. It's a lot cheaper than a professional grade cleaner, and it does just as good of a job. All right, so another thing I want to keep in mind when I'm installing the tape is you might like to have a little bit of extra padding. So depending upon where you'd like some extra padding at, either if it's up in the horns, which the rubber tends to be pretty good, but down here, down in the horns, or down in the drops, I'm sorry, in the drops, you might want a little bit of extra padding. So it's a nice idea to take a strip of your old tape and just cut it off and apply it where you want the extra padding at before you start wrapping the new tape in. And that's going to give you a little extra layer of padding. They do sell kits with like gel and different stuff, but hey, some old tape works just as good and it's free to do. So I'm going to go ahead and get started doing that, and then I'll start wrapping my tape. Here we go. Okay, so I did 2 layers of the old tape just to give myself a little extra padding down here in the drops. Just layered them on top of each other. The adhesive on them still work pretty well. I'm just going to install a little bit of electrical tape just to hold it in place before I start wrapping the new tape around. And you don't need to go crazy with the electrical tape here because it's really just to hold this in place. A little up there. Make sure it's nice and straight down the bar, and then I'll supply a little bit more down below. Okay, got that. Now we're ready to start applying our tape. And like I said earlier, you want to keep in mind the way that your hand is going to be putting pressure. And the most pressure you're ever going to put on your tape is when you're in the drops and your hand is pushing down. So that's the flow you want. That's the direction you want your tape to be, your skin to be pushing towards the direction of the tape so that you're not peeling the tape backwards. All right, so when it comes to wrapping the rest of the handlebar, like I said, you want to pull back the boot, and then you're going to have to start at the end. You got these plugs. The new bar tape oftentimes comes with a plug. So what you got to do is you're going to start at the end, and you want to you're going to give yourself some overlap that sticks out past the end of the bar so that when you're done wrapping, you can shove the tape inside the bar and then put the plug in, and that'll hold it in place, and it gives it a nice polished look as well. So you're going to start there and then start wrapping. And like I was saying earlier, the usual school of thought is to wrap towards the bike. And then I'm going to just take the tape as far as I can up towards the top. There's no need for me to go all the way to the stem since I've got these cups here for my aero bars. So I'll just leave off about here because that's as far as my hand would ever sit anyway when I'm riding. Go ahead, we're going to get started with that. First I want to peel off a little bit of electrical tape though, so that when I'm done, I've got a clean edge to grab onto. There it is. Instead of trying to do this and hold the tape at the same time. Okay, here we go. I'm going to peel off the backing. And I'm going to give myself some overlap down here at the end. And again, I like to apply it real tight. One time around, then start overlapping it. I like to kind of stretch it as I go, make sure it gets on real tight. I don't want my hands coming loose when I'm racing. And again, I'm just kind of overlapping about half the width of the tape. With this service course tape, it's actually a good idea. Half the width is the word service course. I'll show you what I mean with it up close. But you can see here, if you line it up right along the word service, that's about half the width of the tape. Okay, so now I'm up to the shifter and brake assembly. So it's a matter of, you gotta make the jump, you gotta jump across the gap to get up to the top. So I just swung around and you tuck the tape underneath this little lip right here. Gives you a nice surface. Okay, that's about far enough. There's no reason to keep going all the way to the stem. That's just a little bit of extra weight, and my hand's never gonna go that far anyway. So I'm just gonna go ahead and cut it off. Like I showed earlier, do a nice angle cut so you get a nice polished finish, and then wrap this with electrical tape.
Oh, and do you need this to secure anything? Do you need this to secure anything?
Alright, I got my tape applied. Now I'm going to take my electrical tape and put it on, go in the direction that I was applying the tape, stretch it as I apply it, cover up that seam so that your bar tape's real nice and secure. Go ahead and cut it off. Apply it down. That's good. Okay. Fold our boot back. You want to make sure that all the little rubber nubs fit where they're supposed to fit. New tape looks good. Then the last thing is to shove the bar tape inside the bar end and stick your plug in. Just like that. Got the bar end in there. Got me some nice new grippy tape. Got extra padding down here in the drops. It's only going as far as I need it to here. Got my aero bars. Boots are in place. Getting ready to go out for a ride. kind of excited to try out this new grippy tape. That old stuff was not very grippy and just didn't feel real secure. Racing next week, so I'm excited about that. I did want to point out bar tape, it comes with this finishing tape. If you care about being pretty, to me that's just a tiny little bit of extra weight. It's decent stuff. It's like electrical tape. I guess it can look pretty. To me, I think it looks out of place. I like just the clean, crisp lines of the black electrical tape. Of course, I'm also a guy that painted this hot rod matte black with no trim on it, so I'm kind of minimalist when it comes to that type of thing. I'm gonna go ahead and do this other side, and when I'm all done, I'll just take the camera around and show you the finished product. But hopefully this is helping anybody that needs to install some bar tape on their bike. Okay, this is it, finished product. Got the tape. Like I said, it's in the direction that my hand will push down on, so that'll only just make the grip even go tighter. Got my end caps in place. Got the tape only as far over as I need it because of the cup. Got my tape on the ends here on my aero bars. That's gonna make me a lot safer. So got it all done. Ready to go out for a ride. Looks good, nice and grippy. Built in the extra cushioning with the old tape underneath. I'm excited to give it a try. All right, just want to recap on the bar tape. Just did a nice hard ride, 24 miles, gravel roads. Nice sunny day, about 75 degrees. Rode really hard. The grip tape did awesome. It held up, nothing slipped, nothing moved. This stuff is grippy, like super duper grippy. In fact, I think the sweatier my hands would get, and with the combination of my gloves, this grip tape is it's amazing. It really gripped. I gotta highly recommend the Zipp Service Course grip tape. I'm gonna put a link down in the description for y'all, so you can buy it off Amazon if you want. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hope the video helps. If you liked our content, please give us a like, comment, and most importantly, subscribe to us. Thanks a lot. Thanks for watching. Have a great weekend. Bye.